Is my child chewing correctly? That is a question that a lot of parents wonder when their child is beginning to chew some table foods. And with the event of baby-led weaning, a lot of times it's very hard for parents to know, is the food I'm giving my child appropriate for their skill? And if that skill is not as advanced as the food texture that you're giving your child, baby-led weaning does turn into gagging and choking. And I know that people say that gagging is typical. My response to that is gagging is a protective reflex. And what that means is that when your child gags, that means that your child did not process that food to a safe bolus, so it's not swallow safe, which means when they go to try to swallow it, their body gags, which then brings the food forward and out so that they don't swallow the food that could potentially obstruct their airway, is basically, or aspirate. That's really what's happening. And so the gag is typical with the first flavor and the first texture of a food. It is not typical for that baby to continue to gag on a piece of broccoli that's being provided to them, especially when they don't have the skills to chew that. So how do you know what skills your child should have? Well, I will be posting after this video, a video of a child who's just learning how to chew and what that looks like. And what your baby needs to do is when they're chewing on their toys, you want to see them placing it in the back where their molars would be. I'm assuming they don't have them if they're 8 months old, and if they're older, they do have them. They should still be chewing in that area. And so the food should go back there, and the tongue should lateralize. That means go to the side of where that food is. And the job of the tongue is to bring the food and keep it on the bite surface. And the job of the cheeks are from the outside to keep it on the bite surface. So as you're chewing your food, your tongue and your cheeks work together with your jaw movements up and down to be able to keep that food back there so you can chew it up to a texture that's safe for your body to swallow. Now, why is that important? Many levels. One, if your child gags a lot, that's a negative experience with feeding. And if they get enough of those, or if they're a super sensitive child, they're going to stop eating. They'll stop eating that food, or they may get to the point where they stop eating everything because it is a negative experience. It's very scary for them. And if you can think of a situation where you were really scared, you certainly don't want to go back in that situation again. Same thing with our children that see food and it reminds them of the last time they gagged or vomited or they choked or parents freaked out and needed intervention or even 911 was called. All of those situations create a negative, a pairing of a situation that feels negative, that's not comfortable, certainly not positive, with feeding. And if you get enough of those, kids are gonna stop eating. So what you want to do is first, make sure that your child is being able to handle the food that you give them. And if they gag on that food or they don't know what to do with it or they shut their mouth and just try to suck straight down, they are not ready for chewing foods with texture like table foods that you're probably giving them. And it would be best to maybe look for a speech pathologist like myself that specializes in feeding and swallowing disorders. I also can do parent consults, so if that's easier because you're in an area where you can't find a feeding specialist, please go ahead and do that because you don't want your child to stop eating and you want them to have positive feeding experiences so they can eat all the healthy food that you're eating. I'm going to next post the video on a child chewing, and then I'll also do a couple more videos on if your child's not doing this, what you can do, and also I'm going to post one on how to prepare your child for chewing, because there is a window of opportunity between 8 and 11 months when you want your child to start being comfortable and effectively chewing table food. And if that doesn't happen, of course it can still happen, but it's gonna be a lot harder. So please feel free to check out the other videos. Please post me any questions that you may have, or if you want to post something that you're interested in me answering a question, I certainly would be happy to do that. Thank you for your time and have a great day.